We got a big old crowd.
You don't like Bobcat.
A little bit about myself. I'm John Heights. I live down south Kansas City, 100 miles. I'm 40 miles north of Joplin. I live on the Missouri side, 1 mile from the Kansas State line. So basically my trapping is in a half circle. I haven't been traveling much to trap the last few years, and basically it's done 20 miles from the house. This year I got called out on some beaver work to do up north in 4 or 5 other counties. We'll be pursuing that after the northern duck season ends. I can't get in there. So what we're going to talk about the cats. Cats are one of the most independent pieces of junk you can deal with. Everybody says they're easy to trap, and they are easy to trap. But it's just like every other critter. You got to be spot on with your traps.
I'll call you after a while.
So you pull in a field and you drive your four-wheeler around that, you see no sign. What are you going to do? Well, I read an article years ago that changed a lot of the way I trap, and that article name, I think it was in Per Fishing Game, was points of interest. When you pull into a field and you scan that, what do you see? What pops into your vision and catches your attention? Tree lines, bales of hay, where they cut beans and they belched out a big old pile of bean stubble. Things like that's what you want to key on, especially around the edge. Now, if you're out coyote trapping, you could go, if you've got a big old pile of bean stubble out there, you can go out there and catch your coyotes. Cats, not as much. So, to be spot on, I'm looking for a clump of grass in that road that goes up the edge of that field. It's going to be fescue, it'll be Johnson grass along the edge. I use a lot of Johnson grass. I use a lot of corn stubble and milo stubble for my sets. I don't care if I don't see anything. I set a lot of top of terraces, in corners of fields. I run cameras on some of my sets, and we'll get into that here in a minute. I run them about 3 days. If I don't see any sign of a cat on there, I'm going to move it to another cat set. Not all my sets are cats, but I occasionally catch a cat in a coyote set. You can't trap one without trapping the other. So, if you, the Trapper's Post, Mike Yancey, did you see what he said in there in that first paragraph? There's no secret bait and lure, and there's no secret set. What I'm about to demonstrate to you is how I do it. You guys do it different, that's fine. You're catching cats. But I vary my sets a lot. I was down in Oklahoma last year doing a beaver and otter demo down there. And Galen Opal was a fur buyer down in the southwest part of Oklahoma. And he talked about cats, how they walk. Pay attention to your house cat. How does he walk? He puts his foot here, puts his foot here, puts his foot here, puts his foot here. When he stops, he goes like this. They're together. We're going to talk about trap placement at these sets that will help you not miss that cat. And it's 10 and 2. Feathers. I've run feathers, and I know a lot of cat trappers use flagging on every set. I don't. I will not use that much flagging. This is what I use. I've used CDs, pie plates, everything in the world. But I'm telling you, some cats will not go to that. I've got it on camera multiple times. I tried 3 years to catch a cat behind my house. And every time he'd come by that camera, and I had Christmas balls, I had tinsel, I had everything. He'd come by that, he'd be looking at it, he'd be running or trotting. He was scared to death of that, and he was a big old male. That proved to me that that cat was scared of them feathers. He just would not work that set. I don't care how many feathers you put there, I don't care what you did, he would not work it. The third year, I caught that cat about 100 yards in a coyote set. And you say, well, how do you know it was that cat? I run them cameras on there, and I never did see that cat again. It was a big old male, probably about 3 pounds. So I don't use feather. I've got a buddy up north, Dan Roberts, lives there in South Dakota, that catches 400 to 500 coyotes, 700 a year. And he flags every cat set. He traps all the way from Canada clear down to Mexico. He uses all kinds of flagging. I don't care if it's ribbon or what. I told him, I said, Dan, quit using all that flagging. I said, they're scary. So every once in a while, so when I put this flagging up, I've got a 2-track road that goes down the edge of this field, and there's nothing out there, it's featureless. What have I created when I put that up? A point of interest. You want that in the line that cat's coming across that road and coming down that 2-track in the edge of that field. You want his attention. As soon as he sees that, you want his attention. You don't want it off to the side. What they'll do is they'll come up there and they'll just kind of glance at it and they'll go on. They won't work the set. But if you've got that dead on where that cat's moving, you're going to have a good chance of catching that cat. I'm getting over a bad cold, guys, so I got cough. All right. With that said, what I use mostly, and how I treat my traps. This is Duke 550 Pro. I paint them. I use 1 quart of implement paint. This is John Deere yellow. Last year they was blue. The 2 quarts of acetone. And the reason I do that, it's fast. I don't spray paint none of it because you get overspray and I don't get about 4 or 5 traps out of a cheap can of paint. So I dip them anymore. This is my backup trap. I bought these up at Sioux Falls. These are going to be my secondary trap on my sets this year. And I've got some MBs that I've used. They're so old that they've got the metal trigger on them. And I've had coyotes just destroy them metal triggers. Now they went to stainless steel. My go-to trap is number 2 Bridger, fully laminated. If you notice, that's not round up there. Dan Roberts has these made. He makes them himself. That's flat steel, and they have them hydro cut out. He makes his own swivels. These swivels are great when you're trapping in grass. The grass won't tangle around them like they do the swivels like this. They'll bind up. These will stay clear of that. And he dips all his as FM and J, and I've tried that this year. We're going to see what it works. But I've been told where I trap down there, humidity will turn that into chalk. It'll basically just be gummy, but we're going to see. Another thing I use is when I trap a new property, I use GPS, like GPS everything. Like I said, I don't trap that far from home. And when I get done GPS and that, I'll take a piece of flagging tape and I'll tie it over there on a weed or something. So I know exactly in line when I pull up to that. I don't walk nowhere, guys. I'm too old for that. If I can't drive a Can-Am,
if we can't catch it out of the door, we're not catching it.
That's exactly right. I'm gonna give you a little tip on tall grass. We was trapping in tall grass last year. If you go back to my Facebook page, you'll see a picture of that. And basically what it is, half of it Kansas, half of it Missouri, and it's nut lakes. And they went in there and let the trees grow up and the weeds and stuff. They couldn't, it was against the state regulations of bush hog. They could put bush hog paths down through that. And that's basically where we set up, and we kept running traps, I don't know, 6 or 7 days. Some of our traps was catching, and some of them they wasn't, and it was in great locations. I wasn't running any cameras on, but what in the world? Well, when we got ready to pull them and move, we was pulling them, and I told Dawn, I said, there's no bait and lure in them holes. So what happened to it? Mice and rats. They absolutely, and if I didn't notice it, they've been sitting there for 4 days with nothing in them. So I learned a good lesson. I learned it the hard way. Sound, sight, sound, and smell is what I key on when I'm trapping cats. And if you follow me on Facebook, you know I use tons and tons of duck feathers. I don't like chicken feathers, I like duck feathers. Pull them, I got people bring me the duck carcasses, I pull the breasts out of them, and I throw the carcasses over a hill. That'll bring me another story. I was dumping them duck carcasses about 150 yards over the hill, and I put a camera up on it, and I had owls, possums, coons show up. Finally, I had a cat show up, and I had a log that I cut this firewood off, and it had a long stem sticking out of it. So I tied a flag on it, put me a dirt hole in behind that log, put my cap in of it. Well, here we go. 2 or 3 days later, that cat shows back up, no cat calling. I don't know why. So I thought, well, I'm going to fix you. So I go to the house, I get me some 1x1 wire, build a cage, 2 foot tall, 16 inches wide, put a back in it. I take it over the hill, I stake it down. 2 or 3 nights later, I put me a duck carcass in it. 2 or 3 nights later, that cat showed back up. So all the way around that back. No cat. All right. Take a piece of beaver meat. I tie that beaver meat in the back of that. 2 or 3 nights later, here he comes back. He won't commit into that cage. Now, I don't know if you know Jim Ball out there in Arizona, but he catches about 125 cats out there in cages every stinking year. He's a massive cat. And he catches them in the line cages. But I had that cage covered with cedar limbs. It was all nice and pretty. So what I did is I go back in there, and in the back of that, I put this squeaker in there. And I don't know if you're familiar with these squeakers, but they're pretty good little tool. I don't use them all the time, but I'll show you how I do use it pretty soon. Here comes that cat again. He's a-looking in there. Won't come in. So I'm about out of options, so I go back over about 10 feet away and I put me in a compass set. We'll go through that compass set here in a minute. And it's about 10 feet. I can still see it in my camera view. Camera's headed straight at that cage about 15 feet away. I get up 5:30 the next morning or so, and I flip my phone on. I go to my Moultrie app. There's that cat. I got you now, buddy. Walking around, he's around. Pretty soon he's looking in that cage. He's peeking around inside that. I'm like, you son of a gun. So about 6:30 or so, my message goes off on my phone. My son-in-law gets a hold of me. Hey, you caught that cat. The Moultrie goes to his camera first, his phone first, because he's got the habit. Hey, you caught that cat. And it looked like I had him in that cage, but I had him in the compass set. The compass set was right there. We'll go through the compass set here in a minute. Compass set number 2, Farmington buddy, Gabe Williamson over there at Farmington. My son-in-law's got 320 acres over there, and he's got this cat coming in every night, coming right at an angle. He gets ready to trap, he goes in there, he builds him a big old log deal there, you know, he's got all this figured out. And I'd showed him how to trap the year before. I do not use a lot of stiff backing on my traps. Why? Because it's a firm place to step. They're like a gray fox. They'll get up on top of that, and there's nothing you can do about it. So we'll go through a soft place to step to that cat. I'll show you that soon. So anyway, he comes in, he lays down next to that stick, and he's rubbing his head on that Sierra Mist. I laughed. Next morning, same thing. A cat visited 2 nights in a row. Next morning, same thing. He said, John, this cat is making a butt out of me. What am I going to do? I said, see where that cat's coming in right there? He said, yeah. I said, go 10 feet away from that and put you in a compass set. And make it camouflage the trap as good as you can. Next morning we wake up, here's Gabe holding this big old bobcat. The compass set works, guys. I'm telling you, if you've got a dirt hole shy coyote or a cat, the compass set will catch lots of stuff. The compass set is very easy to make. I don't like using it in tall grass. I want something kind of like this, only patched out. So we'll go back out, make it how that makes. I'm not going to set that trap, but I'm going to show you how that comes through. This thing's easy. You can make 2 traps there if you want to. 18 inches out, I'm going to put a hole. $18 inches out. I want them holes where I can barely get my thumb in them and no bigger. I'm gonna bed that trap right there in the middle of that. And like I said, if you want 2 traps in there, there's plenty of room. What I'm gonna use in that is not Sierra Mist. I don't want that cat rubbing on it. I want Bobcat gland. I want Beaver lure. And any other thing you use for coyotes. But I want to focus on them 2 right there, or any 2 for cats. He has no idea. He's not dirt hole. There's no dirt hole there for him to be shy of. That dirt hole's back over here 10 feet. This set will catch you lots of stuff. I'm telling you, it's amazing. You think, boy, that's about the cheapest set I can make, but it's not. I was telling Ryder Frick a while ago he's got some beaver to catch. Beaver carcasses, I catch a lot of cats on beaver carcasses. I've had conservation agent trap with me for several years. There's nothing wrong with a beaver carcass set. And we had it in that tall grass. We had a bunch of blackberry briars coming across from a branch right there, and there was all kinds of scat there and coyote birds. My buddy Don, who trapped with me for about 30 years, went and put a dirt hole set in there. I took this small beaver about that long. I cut me 4 stakes and I run him up against that blackberry briars, staked him all down, wired him down. Out here I take a knife and I slit his belly open. I bury me 2 traps. Now like this. I cover that beaver up with tall grass. I don't want nothing shining on that grass. For 5 days we were running traps. We had something in that trap every day. I don't care if it was possum or coon. We had something in that, and not one time at that toilet did we have anything in that toilet. That's a good set too. I use that a lot. My conservation agent back home traps with me. He calls it the Arkansas cat set. So, anyway, that. Don't overlook that set. I'm telling you, I've had people on Facebook say, John, I've caught a lot of stuff on that.
So how would that cat work that set?
That cat's he's gonna get in the middle of that, and he's gonna go around to every hole. You're hoping.
You can go with the outside?
Yeah, he'll be on the inside more than likely. If he's not, he will be sooner or later. He might work this hole and come through here and work that hole.
And once he gets in the middle, then
He's going to step in it and smell that stuff. like I said, you can put 2 traps there if you one's not enough.
YouTube even talked about putting in a little stick too, if you wanted
Yeah,
a little bit
you
of
can put
bearing.
your step stick where you want him to step, he's gonna step in it. But camouflage your trap real good. Take your scissors, cut that grass up, cover it up. But I will not set this tall grass. It's gotta be bare ground or little grass tall.
No dirt at all.
Yeah, you'll bed your trap.
In dirt, but on top you'll have the grass cut.
Yeah, you can just take them, just clip them up.
All right.
Do you use just lure, or would you use urine in one of those compass holes too?
You can use, if I was gonna use urine on that, I would come out here on this other corner and I'd stick that down another hole there. Take me a piece of brush and poke it down in there. And set me a trap on the outside of it. That'll work for coyotes too. You brought up a good question. Urine. I will not use urine until the 3rd, 4th week in January.
So you don't start catching until January, before.
Well, I catch cats.
Yeah.
I try not to catch but 3 before Christmas. Our cats are not primed till Christmas.
Okay.
Problem I have with using urine, I don't care if it's bobcat or coyote. Deer drive me nuts where I'm at. They will paw, step around and smell that urine, and I am constantly resetting traps, and I hate it. When I'm catching cats, like I said, I try to catch 3 before Christmas. I save every cat lure, every cat pee I can get, and put it in pint jars. 2nd and 3rd week, I catch a good female. And you're skinning that cat back, the back legs, back there, that middle ways, that little gland will pop out. You ever seen that? Take that gland out of each leg, take a knife, cut it in 2, drop that in that urine. 2nd and 3rd week, especially the 4th week, cats go to mating, is when I start hammering the cats. I'm really pushing to get them. I'm only running 45 traps. This year I'm gonna have to set more because I'm got some time and I got thousands of acres, guys, to trap. I mean, thousands down there where I live. Everybody knows me. Hey, I got this, I got that. I want this car. All I do is deprivation. If you notice on Facebook, I always laugh. I'm the possum king, and I am the possum king. You'll notice that pan right there has no tension on it at all. So I'm doing deprivation work. I don't care what it is. If it's a mouse, I want you stepping on that. I want to see him there the next day. Too many times when I've had tension on that, them stupid possums will do just what them rats and mice do. When you roll up to that trap and the pan's all dusted off and there's no dirt on it, that possum's went up there and he's laid down, not put enough tension on that pan to trip it. And he's licked every bit of bait and lure out of that hole. I want that possum gone, and I want him now.
So 2 pounds would be too much?
I don't run none on none of my traps.
You just got a hair trigger?
It's just free fall.
You're talking about full notch or half notch?
These are Douglas. And I run it plumb back to that notch right there on this Douglas. I don't like dog traps when I'm trapping cats. I just don't. Yeah, and I'll get back to that 10 and 2 pretty soon. I'll show you why. I like the Douglas traps. Cletus Richard called me up about, I don't know, a few years back. I'm good friends with Cletus, I'm an hour and 15 minutes away. I ain't gonna advertise what bait lure I use. But he said, where are you trapping at? And I said, oh, I'm around home. He said, I'm going to come up and trap with you. He said, we're going to line things out. We was catching 50 or 60 coyotes a day, or a day, 50 or 60 coyotes a year. And Cletus come up and trapped with us for 5 days, me and Dawn. And we was a little bit mixed up on our site locations and where we were setting our traps. And Cletus come up and we got to about 2:30 in the afternoon. He was at his last trap. We had a pond, a big dam, and then another pond. And I told him, I said, Cletus, show me how you're going to pick that up. I said, we caught a big old tom there last year. And he said, well, I'll put a walk-through set in. And we put a walk-through set in and got it all fixed up. And this is 2:30 in the afternoon. Come back the next morning, I come off that hill and come around that brush. I said, look at this, Cletus. Great big old tom in that trap. That made our whole trip. But the detail of what you're looking for will make you a better trapper. It's all about detail. And I can't talk enough about location. You know, like I said, points of interest, everything when you're cat trapping. Okay. That ground hard, guys.
Yeah.
You guys got rocks up here?
Yeah, I've been in Washington County.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this side here. I'll have to make it over here where you guys can see better. You guys want, anytime you want to ask a question, feel free to do that.
On that compass set
Yes, sir.
that you had, now you don't use any feathers there?
No, I don't. Nope, I don't.
Okay. I didn't think you said that you did, but I want.
I have before, but okay. If you notice, I drilled that hole pretty straight down. Why?
Bring the feet in.
Make them get on top of the
Angle. If you're back here, that cat's here. You gotta set your pan back further. I like to be 10 inches. If you've got it up here, 10 inches is perfect. See what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Same way with my coyotes. I want that coyote, he's a little bit longer than that. 10 inches is about right for him. It's gonna be, 10 inches is pretty good for a cat. A secondary trap's gonna be about 20 inches. Watch me get caught. Wife's up there filming it. I'm not gonna dig a hole, guys. That's just, it's just too bad. 10 inches. Center there, center there. I'm offset to the right. 2 o'clock. Why am I 2 o'clock? Cat walks like this. When a cat stops, he's like this. Pay attention to your barn cats. Think I'm wrong. Because that's the way they do it. When that cat, say he's leading with his left foot and he comes up here and he stops, he's going to bring that other foot back up here. If I was trying for a left front foot, I'd have it like that. Okay, from there to there, we're looking at 20 inches. These things are brand new, they're pretty stiff. I'm not gonna lock that down. If you notice I use super stakes, I will not use rebar where I live. Got too much topsoil. These things will hold an elephant.
How low do they pull out of the ground when you do? How low do they pull out of the ground?
They will not pull that out.
How do you get them out after
I've got a puller that I
Yeah.
made. It's a scissor.
Yeah.
You can buy them up here. Not like I made, but I can't show you the blueprints on it because it's possibly going to be patented. I'm not going to patent it, but another guy. So that's how we do that. There's a lot of variations, guys, on these traps. You can set the cat. Coyotes don't like to be fenced, but I've caught a lot of coyotes in sets like this. And I didn't explain to this. When that trap's setting like this, that cat walks up there and he's leading, and that foot stops right here, and he brings his other front foot and hits right there. What's going to happen? He's already got his foot right here. Three things got to happen when that trap goes off. That pan's got to go down, and lever's got to come up, or them jaws close. Quick as a cat. What am I missing, Ryder?
You
What am I missing? I don't know if I got them. I ain't got them with me. I got the polyfill. Polyfill is what I use underneath my pans. Buy it, Walmart, $3 a bag. 2 bags usually last me all winter. But it's good. I like it. Like Yancey's got some stuff in there I've never used. It goes under the pan. I don't know where my feathers got too dead.
Did you bring him?
Anyway, my feathers. Sight, smell, sound. We'll go through smell. What I've got down in that hole, I want him to come up here and look straight down in that hole. I don't want that hole angled. I want him to come up here and look down in it like this. I've got my bait in there. Number 2, I'll go about right in here and I'll put me some Bobcat gland lure in there. Anything to use. And number 3 that I use, and I use it a lot, is Sierra Mist. And Sierra Mist is a rub lure, and you can buy that in here from Dave at the Minnesota Trap Line. What that rub lure is, I'll put it right up here. I want that cat stretching his neck out to rub in that Sierra Mist. Sierra Mist is a wonderful stinking rub lure. Cletus makes a rub lure. I know Mike Yancey does. Dale Billings does.
So how deep should the bait go?
I dig mine about no less than 8 inches. I'm not going to go down here. It's too hard. I take them duck feathers, guys, and I want it to look like a stinking bomb went off. I'll scatter them duck feathers all the way around here, and I'll stick some up here. That wind will blow them back and forth. Dead in line, point of interest. He sees it 1/4 when he comes across that road. He's coming down that road anywhere. I don't want him going like this and looking over here seeing that flagging. I want that flagging right there. I want to keep his attention until he looks in that hole. And that's hard to do with cats. Cats are easy to trap until you go to setting cameras on them and seeing what you're doing.
How often do you catch a cat in a second?
Very often. If I catch a cat, a lot of times I'll catch one the next day or 2 days later. especially if it's female. Like I said, I don't start hammering them cats till second, third week of January. One of the best things Missouri Conservation did is extend the otter season and the cats and the coyotes.
So you catch a cat, how do you remake that? Same way?
I'll go over there and I'll dig me up another clump of grass if I have to, and I'll put it right there, dig me down and stay. I want that same smell right there where that female cat was caught. I don't want to move that trap nowhere. Coyotes, I never move a trap for coyotes. What I will do is go back over here 10, 12 feet and I'll put me in another set. A lot of times it's a compass set. They're going to get their whole side.
So what, I mean, all the smells here and then you're gonna put another set here for backup or different size coyotes?
That's like them cats coming in there and all that bait's in that cage right there. He's got a duck carcass and a beaver carcass. He's got all he wants to eat right there. Why wouldn't he go in there? I've got another backup set back over here to catch that cat.
Do you rotate your pans for 10 and 2 for coyotes or just for cats?
No, I will for coyotes too. A lot of times when I set them, and I got ready to come up here and I had my trapping bag in the SUV and I got in the car and said, I smell skunk. Well, I had to leave my trapping bag there. You want that, when I dig that hole, I put that trap in there and I got it bedded tight, I want all that dirt packed as tight as I can around that. I don't want it packed over the top of my levers, but I want it around the jaws. I want that cat to have a good firm place to step. He's not going to step on this. I'll take a piece of rose bush, blackberry briars, and I'll put that stick right across here on both these steps. Any more questions?
You're not running into much foot damage running two traps with
Nah.
the traps getting tangled on each other?
Nah, with them swivels I got on there now,
I know if the chains and stuff would lock up on each other much, or
these swivels here, I'm telling you, I don't like them. But these swivels that Dan's got on there, them's homemade. All you got to do is bend her a 20-penny nail and a nut goes on there, it's a square nut. Them are awesome swivels. I didn't think I'd like them for bedding reasons and stuff. I don't notice.
They actually bed better than on mine.
So you're at 10 and 2 on them traps?
Yes, sir. You understand why I'm at 10 and 2? A cat walks like this. If you don't believe me, watch your house cat when you get it home. When he stops, he goes like this. I have caught bobcats by that back hawk leg back here, where that bone is, comes out, and that tendon. I have caught cats by that. What he did, backed up there and sat down on that trap and caught it. I've had a lot of pictures of male cats coming up to this. And I'll soak this down with urine here and here. I've had a lot of pictures of bobcats. It didn't work to set, but they backed up and peed all over it, that back.
What kind of urine do you use?
Bobcat urine.
Can you put over urine, the set?
I don't know if you can or not, Ron. I really don't know.
But sometimes I seem like I overdo it, but I don't know how.
I don't use a lot on there. If you'll watch that cat back up, his tail's going up and down, and it just squirts out kind of a mist.
Okay.
Well, it was out, and your wife probably don't remember this. I was at Garden City Zoo one time and was watching this tiger. He got up, he backed up that cage, and I grabbed her and I jerked her out of the way. I said, "Get back!" There's people standing right here. What's the matter? What's the matter? What? He wet them bum down.
Sure that washed off easy.
Yeah, I did. I wouldn't want to road with him in the car.